Hello there. We are underway in celebrating our first year anniversary. And if you don't already know about it, I'm hosting a raffle and giving away more than $2,000 worth in cash and prizes. So if you or a friend have access to an Apple product, you can enter to win. For the complete details, go to sayyesToYourSoulPodcast.com. All right, here we go with another soulful episode. And to me, this is saying that when we go within, when we go to this place of intuitiveness and connectedness with light, we have access to infinite wisdom. It is available to us. Hello, I'm Tessa Lynne Alburn. Welcome to the Say Yes to Your Soul podcast, where we empower women to connect with their souls and shine in their business. If you are ready to embrace your brilliance, create meaningful connections, and be compensated for your specific gifts, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore inspiring stories, practical insights, unique points of view, and soulful strategies, all to help you thrive. So let's dive on into this transformative journey together. Tune in and say yes to your soul. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, oh, yeah, hey, oh, yeah, hey, oh, yeah. Today, I'm going to share something that's a little different with you. We're going to be connecting with the divine energies to receive some guidance. And the way that we're going to do that is through a tarot card reading. Before we get to that, I want to share just a little bit about my experience with the tarot. I had already been on my own path of personal growth work. I'd been doing a lot of shamanic work, shamanic counseling, soul retrieval work, and continuing to learn about metaphysical energy and changing the way we see the world, changing my viewpoints on the past, present, and future, changing the relationships that had been key to my upbringing. And in the study of metaphysics, in the study of spirituality, we learn that there is an impact on us and our lives when we access the spiritual realms with intention and not want. We access with intention, and we can bring the lessons from those realms into our everyday living. When I was living up in the North Bay in California, I went to one of the local bookstores, which was amazing at the time. It's not there now. There's a different bookstore now. But it had been there for years, and it just had this magical essence about it. And I was immediately drawn to a book by Angeles Arrien, who was a cultural anthropologist. She was a teacher and author of many, many books, including The Fourfold Way, Walking the Paths of the Warrior, Teacher, Healer, and Visionary. And she taught in a number of disciplines to help us bridge the meanings of the areas of psychology, anthropology. She studied comparative religion, and mostly she tried to take all this and focus on universal beliefs that are shared by humanity, and then look beyond that, like how can that serve us, right? And so she did a lot of work looking into symbology. She eventually wrote the Tarot Handbook, Practical Applications of Ancient Visual Symbols. And with her book were these magical tarot cards. And I just had to have them. I took them home. Suddenly this was just like really exciting. There was a lot of energy around it for me. And I knew I wanted to dive in. And I just started reading page after page, looking at the cards. I'm reading page after page of the depth of the symbology and what these energies could mean for us. And so I chose to begin a daily practice with the tarot. And I continued that practice over the next 2 years. I'm also very grateful to have had the opportunity to meet Dr. Arian at a seminar. And it was just beautiful the way she could be with a room and lead and facilitate and express ideas that were hard to grasp in a way that could be understood. At least parts of what she was saying could be absorbed by the people in the room. Now, when one does a daily practice of tarot to guide them, to help them with their spiritual journey and help them heal, there's a belief that eventually, within about a year, we will get to all the cards in our readings. And I was doing a 3-card draw every day, a 3-card reading. And I was like, well, that'll be interesting. And I was keeping notes on what cards I had received. But that wasn't actually true for me. What was happening was I found that the cards were telling a different story. It was just like they really wanted me to get some clear messages. And so they kept giving me the same cards over and over until finally I understood what those cards meant for me. I needed some really deep healing. So there were parts of my heart that were just, no matter how much work I had done, it seemed, there were still parts of my heart that just felt like deeply grieving and deeply hurt and sad about the state of humanity and the world. Once I integrated the lessons, especially from those repetitive cards, I began to start to see other cards and symbols showing up in my daily drawings, and those took me further along my path of healing and growth. Some of those cards are very present with me to this day, enriching my life, enriching my inner world, and reminding me that there's so much guidance available. So the card that I have drawn is from the Thoth deck, and it is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is a major arcana card. It's sort of like the royalty of the tarot decks. They represent archetypal energy. And so it's like a way of being. It's not about like challenges or struggles or overcoming. It's more about a way that we can be that is going to bring healing into our world and also often have a tremendous impact upon others. You might think of them like power cards. And the High Priestess card is designated with the number 2. So it's actually third in the deck because there's a 0, there's a 1, and a 2. So the 2 is signifying the duality of what the card is saying to us. It's representing a dualistic world where it is bridged. All the cards in this deck, I feel, are beautifully, artistically articulated. The artist of these cards, the one who painted them, was Lady Frida Harris, and she worked under the auspices of Aleister Crowley. And there's quite a bit of controversy about this deck because Mr. Crowley was not exactly a pinnacle of light himself. He was more interested in the occult energies and was not particularly innocent in terms of delving into the darker side of things. But I feel Lady Frida Harris really tapped into a higher spiritual energy, and she transformed this deck. So I'm going to describe to you, to the best of my ability, some of the visual. You could also go look this up if you want to, if you're so inclined. But I think if you just listen and tune into your own imagination, you will begin to understand and feel the qualities coming in. The High Priestess is seated on a cubic stone, and her arms are stretched out to the sides with her palms up, and they come up. They come up slightly into a slight curve, somewhat like a crescent moon. They're mostly out to the sides, but they're reflecting the shape as she appears to be receiving or generating light energy. Since she represents the feminine, I'm going to say that she is receiving light energy. She is connecting with the ethers. She also is bare-breasted, but she's covered. There's kind of like an energy, some people call it a veil. There are swirls of energy in front of her, almost prismatic at certain points. And there's also what could be a net in front of her. I'm going to continue describing this to give you a little bit more of the visual and then go into this a little bit more, like what are the meanings of these things. Upon her head is the crown of Isis, and Isis was the virgin goddess of Egypt. So very magical. Behind the head of the High Priestess are more shapes, sacred shapes, a crescent that's layered. So it's very multi-dimensional. And there are lots of blues and greens and some dipping into violet light. So we have this very mystical energy represented above in part of the card very strongly. And then below, we have more practical energy. Like her legs are very solid. She's definitely connected. Both feet are firmly on the ground. And down below her on the ground are depicted some fruits and crystals, like actual things that have come to exist in earthly form. There's also a small camel designated down here at the base of the card that could be showing us that there is a connection to water, like the watery qualities of spirit, and then bringing them into form, carrying them across the desert until things start to manifest. But this priestess is mostly putting her attention in spirit. She represents the yin energy, the feminine energy. The card is associated with the moon, lunar energy, and also with Scorpio. And it's in the 12th house, and in astrology, that is associated with the subconscious, with dreams, the unseen realms, and with the power of Scorpio, there is a lot going on in the unseen worlds. I think the main message of this card for most of us today is about accessing intuition and being in the feminine. We want to be in the feminine of receiving higher wisdom, which can be inspired, can be moved, can be activated by the energies in the higher spiritual realms. But ultimately, that energy comes inside us, and we have what we call intuition. And then we can put that intuition into practical steps. I believe this is a message to all of us right now to pay greater attention to this, to spend time developing and accessing your intuition, to concentrate, to give yourselves time to sit down and choose to connect with the divine realms. I think there's no other time like now where this has become so important to do, because things in the external world are moving quickly up and down and all over and chaotic and tumbling and crumbling and fighting and sorting. And we are in the process of creating a new world. And intuition with divine influence is going to help us create that from a place of nurturing, from a place of compassion, and to do things in a different way than we have been. There are a number of people, if you look at other people's opinions on this card. I think a lot of people think what I'm going to call the netting that's in front of her, they would say this is like a veil. I have had a different experience of this kind of netting in my own life. I had a vision and I experienced the netting as light forms. So imagine each little piece of that so-called net being strands of light. And I think what she is really doing is she is weaving light here for the world. She's calling in light through all the prisms and different dimensions. And then she's weaving it so that it takes form. One feature I didn't mention yet is that she also happens to have on her lap the bow of Artemis, which is another dualistic feature because it's a bow for hunting, and yet it's also a musical instrument. And this may be representing her ability to enchant. And I think we all have that ability to enchant, to draw people in from the place of the feminine, from the place of heart and power and sensitivity, but not the kind of power that's like out there yelling or, saying, do this. Rather, it's about a deep-rooted certainty. So when I talk about certainty, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm certain when I have facts, I'm certain when I know stuff. But this is the certainty of inner knowing. And so we can become skilled at it. We can become sensitive to it and listen to it, pay attention to it, and we can grow certainty within us. So to put it simply, one of the main reasons we come across this card is for the guidance to tune within, to pay attention to the unconscious, to go deep inside, not just inside us, also connecting with the divine universe, go deeper into the connections with the universe. Even though we cannot see those things with our eyes, most of us anyway, the energy is there, and energy connects everything. That's where the great intelligence rides. It comes in upon information, moving along lines of energy in the universe, and we can access that, but we need to become still and become more intentional. So also at the feet of the High Priestess is another crescent moon. And I think this gives an added element that she's not only intuitive, but she's really a master of her emotional world. Because the moon is always going to represent emotions or the emotional state or sensitivity when it comes to symbols. And here she is. It's below her feet. She's almost standing on it. So she's sourcing from the moon, from her emotional side, up through the soles of her feet and remaining grounded. This is grounded emotionality. She is not without emotions. She has emotions, yet they're grounded. So she's very aware of what she feels. Yet the most important aspect here is the spirit. She's the mysterious female that holds answers to deep unknowns. She holds answers to religion, to self, to nature, and to soul. So I'm going to invite you today to take this drawing of this card, the High Priestess, as a calling for you to either start or to deepen your spiritual practice, and especially in terms of your knowing, your intuition. So the type of practice I'm talking about would be meditation or a new type of prayer that is not formulated in rules or in masculine energy, but a prayer from the high heart and the spirit together. Prayers for the world, prayers for healing, and to make a commitment to moving forward along your spiritual path. And if you're someone who's been struggling with thoughts of feeling like you're trying to make a lot of decisions using facts or reasoning, it may be time for you to start accessing deeper knowing, this intuitive side of you, the unconscious side, so that it can guide you, so that it can bring information to you, so that it can bring exactly what you need to you when you need it. So I'm going to encourage you to work with intention in this way and see if you start experiencing a little bit of magic in your life. When we are in the highest aspect of our own High Priestess, we are in our feminine, we are receiving others, we are listening, and we are holding with sensitivity and power all that we come into contact with. And we also create beauty, and we give a sense of beauty to others. Now, if taken to the extreme, if we were just to be in pure feminine energy all the time, or sort of be in like a contemplative state all the time, then we would probably get walked over. There wouldn't be enough boundaries, that sort of thing. So we also want to have the strength of the High Priestess and the ability to access the live world, the living world here, the earthly world. And one of the ways we can draw in strength is by going to the depths of ourselves, bringing in light to support us with that. And we can focus on cultivating wisdom and having patience as we do this. There are suggested affirmations for this card. They are mostly focusing on intuition, so I'm going to give you some of those affirmations now. I trust my intuitive abilities. Or I'm beginning to trust my intuitive abilities. More and more, I'm starting to trust myself and my intuition. My intuition is always with me. I can allow it to speak to me when I pause and feel into it. The final feature I'd like to bring to your attention today is there is what appears to be a mask over her eyes when you first look at it, but it is not. If you look closely, you will see that her eyes are actually shown because the shape of this so-called mask is not a mask at all. It is the infinity symbol, and it's connecting into some of the prismatic light. The infinity symbol leaves her eyes clear so she can see. If she chooses to open her eyes, she can see with them. And to me, this is saying that when we go within, when we go to this place of intuitiveness and connectedness with light, we have access to infinite wisdom. It is available to us. Now, it could be really hard sometimes for our little minds to grasp that, but what if we simply could be open to that idea? Maybe a mantra could be, I allow myself to receive the wisdom that is there. I can perceive and work with higher wisdom. And because wisdom is infinite, when we are in connection with the light and our intuitive selves, we can receive exactly what we need to receive at any given moment in time. And then perhaps a month from now, or 2 months from now, or a week from now, you're going to be different. Who you are and what you understand will be different because you've strengthened the lines of trust with intuition, and you've opened your mind to the wisdom that is available. So, to you, woman of soul, receiving this card on the first day that I chose to do this for the podcast, this is a big calling. It's not to be ignored. I don't know if she's going to continue to show up for you the more I do readings, but for this to be the first, this is a powerful message for you. At this point in time, with everything that's going on, this is the best way we have to navigate what unfolds. You're not going to throw away common sense. You're still going to use your mind, but it is in service of intuition. Let your mind be in service of spirit and intuition. I encourage you again to strengthen your relationship with spirit, with the light, go deeper, ask for more connection. Find something in here that resonates for you and strengthen that relationship. embrace this way of being even more so you can show up in your excellence and live your ideal life. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to being with you again next week. Bye-bye for now. All right. Thank you for joining us for this week's delicious episode. Before you jump off, I wanted to remind you to get entered in the raffle this month because I'm giving away more than $2,000 worth of prizes in both private sessions and actual cash. What are those prizes, you ask? Well, one of them is a private 75-minute soul light healing session with me. And that can be healing on various levels. It might be releasing trauma or tuning up your body or your emotions or clearing things like past lives and karma that's been, energetic debris holding you back. This session can be very helpful and sometimes have dramatic results in relationships, money, and in your health. And we're going to do that together on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live. The second prize is a 60-minute coaching session with me, and that's also going to be on Zoom. So if you want support or clarity for your goals, like help with getting started with a project or just creating an action plan, that is going to be an amazing session. You'll be surprised at how much you come away with. The third prize is a personalized meditation that I will design especially for you. And of course, it's going to be yours to keep. So it's going to be fully personalized in terms of the content, and I will be speaking just to you so that you will be able to resonate with it and receive the maximum benefits that you want to create. Okay, now for the fun stuff, the cash. I have several cash prizes in various amounts. I've got several $50 prizes, $75 prizes, and $100 prizes. So you can see there are many opportunities to win here, and I just want to encourage you to be sure to play because you do need to play to win. All monetary prizes will be delivered through PayPal or Wise. And if you have a different currency, it'll be automatically converted for you. So as long as you have access to an Apple device, you can play. And all the instructions are available on our website at sayyes2yoursoulpodcast.com. That's sayyes2yoursoulpodcast.com. And if you need any support in completing your raffle entry, my team is ready to help you with that. You'll find their email on our webpage as well. So that's it. All the best to you, and may you say yes to your soul.